we'll be talking about, so let's come face to face, and most infamous cyber crimes which shook India and the global web basically. So here what we want to do is that we'll be studying the cyber crimes now with the help of, in the last lecture we talked about the crimes at the individual level. We were more focused, how can we save ourselves first, our computer, our mobiles, and we just left the national or the higher level of cyber attacks and crimes for the next time, maybe for this lecture. So in today's talk, what we'll be focusing on is few major cyber attacks which have happened at the country level or a big corporate level, and then how they have happened and what do we learn from them. So if we are working in a MNC, or how do they affect us as an individual. So let's begin with this, and we'll be talking about the, I said, the most infamous cyber crimes that shook India or maybe the globe. So I think we need to revise it quickly and revise, or maybe the terms which I'll be using again and again. First is data breach. I told you in the last class also, data breach is a theft of the data by any malicious actor, maybe a software or a person, but he is using what? The cyberspace for this data breach. And it is mostly, if you learn and if you have understood it till now, is that why these are happening, like in the last lecture also, and we could just take home, was that they want the personal data of the individuals in a country for the level of crime or individual fraud, or maybe at the country level. So their primary goal becomes what? Is to go for identity theft of a large number of population. And if you remember, I gave you the example of Edward Snowden, how he leaked the American secret data to, he basically has flown away now to Russia. Then cyber attacks, again, the attacks which are mounted on us, meaning on our computer through the cyber offenses, cyber malware, and on the in the cyberspace. But the actual attack is of a higher magnitude than a normal this thing. So let's start with this. So I'll be talking about the cyber crimes, and I intend to, with this presentation or this talk, I want to make you familiar with the gravity and the type of environment or under what sort of threat we are living nowadays, right? So I started with my environment today when I was driving. In fact, I was just trying to find out what is happening around me. When I was driving in the car today morning I'm talking, there was an announcement on the radio that if you have, by chance, for uploading the Aadhaar, if you have uploaded, you were trying to do it at the right click, but it was a wrong click, and your Aadhaar has been uploaded at the wrong account. Or maybe you were trying to contact the customer care, but you reached somewhere else. So that and few other this type of things, wrong number in your phone, or you by chance you received a mail, officious mail, and then you clicked on that. So these type of crimes are increasing in a much higher magnitude, and the people around us must be made aware of this, meaning it's actually digital empowerment, that we empower ourselves first. We should know what is happening and how it is happening, and then only we'll be able to give this to the society, those who are not aware of this. And then what else from this is how to protect ourselves with this one. So this slide here, which I have fixed, is what I'm trying to show you here is that just my activities I was saying, what I'm observing, because I'm teaching you this here. This is 21st November news. The boy in this hat, what had happened here is that using the AI resources, meaning that boy can change his voice, and he made it similar to the victim's nephew's voice, and he robbed her for money on telephone. So using AI resources, he conducted this crime and he could rob her for money. Same way, I received this message just half an hour before when I was preparing this talk. And what does this say? It is talking about a CEO, a very senior person in a company who was very much techno savvy, meaning he was very well aware of all the malpractices happening. Still, all his bank accounts were robbed and everything was taken away from him. And what happened? He didn't receive any OTP, there was no phishing mail, there was no false link given to him. Then what happened to his phone? Everybody was surprised. Police was tracking this case and nothing had, because nothing had happened actually. But what had happened? What had happened is, I again put that text for you to read, is this was a CEO. He was very much technically savvy. But what had happened is the camera installed in his office solved this problem. How did this happen? His charger was replaced by a pen drive which took away all his data, meaning it was of the same shape, same size, which took away all his data. And then what happened? That data had all, because our mobiles have all our data, credit card, bank accounts, and everything. And he was robbed, meaning all the data was then used by the criminals to rob him off. So every day new ways are being designed, but we have to be very well aware as a digital empowerment to keep ourselves empowered and know what all is happening around. So with these two examples, I just want to tell you that the crimes are increasing exponentially, and they are increasing at a very rapid rate. So what is this PowerPoint? I was trying to fix it for you, that if I search at internet how many crimes and what people are reporting nowadays, it was 6840, meaning cases immediately opened. And it was just a small video. I could capture my screen, but it is not working here, but it served my purpose. What I'm trying to tell you here, that the cyber crime is of a very high magnitude thing, and people talk about the insurance, and at this stage we must learn how to protect ourselves from these cyber crimes. We picked up lots of ways in the last lecture, and here I will tell you several big crimes which have happened and how they happened and what was the gravity of the losses. But again, like last time, I will quickly tell you the terms which will be used again and again in these cyber attacks across the country level or across the big company corporate level. So malware, I told you in the last class also, they are the softwares which are used to disrupt the computers. Viruses, worms, I was in the class asking one student today, can you, because Viva is going to happen, and I'll be asking many questions from this in the Viva. So I asked her, what is the difference between a virus and a worm? You must know, I told you this in the last class. So again, that is very commonly used in these cyber attacks. Theft of the individual property data, identity, I told you. And hacktivism is what? Is that when we use it to socially and politically motivated, we want to manipulate things, that all around it is happening. It is happening, and it is very common, and we must learn how to protect ourselves from this. Then mobile devices and applications. I told you just now the example of mobile being hacked, mobile of a CEO being hacked. And social engineering, we talked about that earlier. What is that? Is we convince the user and he is happily clicking our malicious links. And we talked about this, that this usually happen when we want to take free things, easy things. So we should not take anything in free, and we should be very well aware. I was just listening to this yesterday somewhere. It was saying that you should pay for everything. If you don't pay now, if you try for free things, then you have to pay several times later on. So we should avoid free links, free softwares, free apps on internet. Then phishing is, deceptive mails or maybe texts or tweets which convince you to click or open them, and then you are liable to these attacks. Domain name attacks is that they maliciously take your domain name and or they control the domain name, and then they can do whatever they want to. Similarly, router security, we talked about that last class also. And denial of service also. I think we talked about that. I remember it well. We were saying that how the websites are blocked, meaning the overwhelming response does not allow actual user to reach there. So this was it, and then I have put the same slides where I was talking again, and I have talked about this again, but I like you to go back to those, because like this Trojan horse, I'll be talking about this again today, because at several of the cyber attacks this Trojan was used. Then if maybe other malicious softwares like botnet, we talked about that this several times. Denial of attack, just denial of service. Just now I told you that the system gets overwhelmed and you are not able to. Phishing we talked about. So now we have prepared the ground. Now I think we have prepared the ground that how we are going to study, and we should know all this. And now we'll be talking about the infamous or the very prominent cyber attacks which happened, and which I'm supposed to cover because I took this list of these attacks from the university curricula which has come. So I will just take them one by one because they are 20 in number, and I will highlight the important thing in there, meaning what is important to know about that attack and to remember. And what you will realize after knowing about all these attacks is that they are very common to us, and each of us is involved in that. We've been using those things, but those things happened. So, and gradually, we have to prepare ourselves how to protect ourselves from these. So let's begin with those. And so the first one here is HBO. I told you in the last lecture also. What is HBO? HBO used to be a very favorite English movie channel here in India also. We used to watch HBO movies. So it was the first big attack which came into the notice in 1986. And I told you this already, that people while watching the movie Captain Midnight, they rather than movie, they got this signal which stated that you can get the subscription in $12.95, right? So what has happened is that when I was planning this talk, because it will go beyond hours, I could not do that goes beyond the scope of, but I wanted to take out maximum data which I can take out for this, so that you find it interesting and an interesting story. But again, because of limitation of the time, I could not do that, but still I have found what is important, and you understand the gravity of the situation. So back to that one. So this was the first one, and we talked about this, and taking control of a channel was a very big thing at that time. We have people assigned to this, the criminals have been punished now, but we cannot go into the details. Our focus in these crimes mainly would be how these crimes have been done and what did they get after doing this crime, meaning what they wanted to do with this and what did they get out of this. So the first one here is Yahoo data breach. Yahoo data breach is the largest one, is the largest breach which has happened till now. What was that? The 3 billion records were compromised. I noticed this figure. I'll be telling you 20 such breaches, but you will notice that 3 billion is not coming anywhere. So 3 billion records were breached. And what was there? Again, the identity records, meaning the real names, email address, date of birth, telephone number, security questions of these people. And it cost the company a loss of 350 millions to the company, $350 million. And Yahoo believes that these were state-sponsored actors, meaning somebody from Russia or somebody from China did this, because when it's not individualistic. What do you get after getting 3 million records? Not an individual. It's the country's benefit that they want to capture their 3 million records. And the loss of Verizon, I hope you know what is Verizon, is a very famous telephone company in US. Yahoo was very, very popular earlier. Now these children, they hear more of their name, they use more of Google. But when we were young, 10, 20 years before, Yahoo was the most popular one at that, in 2013 or before that. So it was the most popular one, and its data was breached. It lost its credibility, and it lost a lot of money also. Why? Because the Verizon purchased this, and when Verizon purchased this, it realized that the data is compromised, and when the data was compromised, it was of no use to him, and then he sold this, and the company had a loss of $350 million. So again, the hackers were from third party, maybe because very often state sponsored, people don't want to name them, because of, again, it might be of any, but this Yahoo breach is the highest, the biggest breach which we have observed in recent times. 2013 is not recent, but still it was a threatening and a big scandal for everyone. Then we come to the next one, which falls in the list given to me, is the first American financial corporation data breach. What was that? It was 885 million records were compromised. Again, it had the information about bank account number, statements, mortgage, tax, social security number, etc. Everything was there. But this was unique in the sense that it was not a breach in company's server, but an authentication error, meaning no authentication was required to view the document. So did you got it? What was that? It was company was running, and company was taking the data, but it was not, no authentication was required. So what happened? Anyone who could enter, once a single record was entered by a cyber criminal, he took over everything. And what was that? Just there was no authentication. It was an authentication needed, meaning anyone could enter in their server. So it was, meaning at that time, 2019 is not very old also, but big companies sometimes. That is why, gradually these cybersecurity people and these AI and these, they are very much in demand nowadays, because the companies can be taken over anytime because of small errors, and the errors keeps on going, and unless they are discovered or a massive loss happens to the company. So this was why, because this happened is just because of the authentication error, and when a single link was found, one person could, then he breached all data. And what do they do with this breached data? We talked about this last class. Is that anyone wants to answer? What do they do with this breached data? If India's 80 million records have been compromised, what is being done with that data? It comes to the dark web, and it is on sale. Any other country who is not happy with India, or who wants to take revenge, or anyone, I like to get answers from people. I like to interact. So I put all effort, and I would love to hear from you if you want to write on comments box. So what do they do with this identity theft? If India's 80 million people's data is compromised, what do we suspect? Who would have done this? Any guesses? Right. So 80 million will be definitely of use to our enemies, the countries who are not. And how did we know that? Because it was on sale on dark web. And it was on sale. So any country who is our enemy will be happy to take that data and can misuse that for whatever purpose they want to. Yes, Rupam, you are absolutely right. They hack the accounts, they get the entry, and then they sell this to our enemies. Because individual data may not be, will not fetch them that much of price. If they sell 80 million people data, their Aadhaar card and their everything, it becomes a huge entity, a very big information which could be sold at any cost. So first American financial corporation data, yes, Niharika, they want to sell this on dark web at their desired price. They get price for this, right? So you learned the story of First American Financial Corporation. So, see, to me now in 2023, I find this funny. Why? Because it was a financial corporation. And the security, now we understand after having suffered so many losses that how important it is to have a proper security in your system, right? Then we come to the next one. Yes. Yes, Rupam, absolutely. I agree with you there. Is that it is personal information, their bank information, their location. It's very important for any criminal to know about. Then another data which is written in the list given to me is Equifax data breach in 2017. What was that? 148 million records were compromised, and it had social security number, passport number, date of birth, credit card information, driver license, and everything, right? And it caused a damage of $700 million to the company. And what was that? Why it happened? It was because of application vulnerability, meaning in one of their websites, it led to a breach. The website was not very secure, and it went on being like this for months altogether. And later on, it was discovered that there's a fault in the security, and there's inadequate security in the system, which made data breach very easy. So this company in 2017, after years, it reported that there was security was not proper. See, I tell you one thing. I was just trying to find stories for your class, so that you remember, that you enjoy them. Is that this is what happened. So when I was looking for Yahoo scam and I was trying to find out these stories, what did I understand? The scam happened in 2013, but it was discovered later on after a few years, and then they realized that it is another scam which has happened, and it causes huge losses. Meaning by then, meaning damage has already been done by the time these scams are discovered actually. So this was it. Then let's go to the next one. Next is Marriott International Data Breach 2018. And I feel sorry that I have my limits. I cannot show you the videos which I could see on internet about this Marriott International Data Breach, right? Marriott, all of is a hotel chain. They have their hotels everywhere in the world. And what happened is 500 million records were stolen, and they had all information, travel information, guest number, or maybe passport, credit card, because it's an international chain. It has hotels everywhere, right? And the gravity of this security breach, you could imagine that people coming from different countries staying at. So Marriott lost its credibility in the world after that. And why this happened is because the reservation system again was not secure, and it was using its old infrastructure, IT infrastructure. So because of these small mistakes, the companies have suffered huge losses. And the amount of loss, when you are traveling to different country, and if your information of social security number, passport, and everything is breached, it amounts to a crime, basically a very big crime, where personal security is at the risk. So this was about Marriott International Data Breach. And here again, this was a hotel chain. So I'm telling you the financial companies, I told you the Yahoo search engines, then I told you the hotels. Then let's come to the next one. What was this? Adult Friend Finder. I tell you about this. You might be interested in knowing this. What was this Adult Friend Finder website? This was a dating website like we have now. We have many of. So this was what? This was holding 20-30 website, data of 20 records of 20 such websites. And it is supposed to be very secure and private. Like, it had people's 20 years record, meaning who was whose friend before, and how did they date, and whatever. How did they communicate their personal data, what do they like, what are their likings and disliking. And this data was breached. So it caused a lot of emotional damage to the people. See, I'm just trying to cover different things. This was the biggest emotional damage which could happen, because lots of adult content was also leaked, and private information, personal information of people was leaked in this one. So adult friend finder network data breach 2016, and it had 412.2 million records which were compromised, and it had a lot of personal information of the and lots of casual hookups and adult content in that. So but how did this happen? Once again, see, if you have noticed by now, I am not giving you very serious reason except the negligence and not proper security being maintained. So what happened in this case? It was the passwords were weak. They were weak passwords. They are very easy to break. So once you get entry into the system and the passwords are easy to break, and this all big fraud or a big attack happened in the cyber region just because the passwords were weak. So if the weak passwords, the criminals get entry into your system, and then they hack everything and use this for wrong purposes. So this was adult friend finder. It had, I told you, 20 years of information of the people, right? And it was just because what? The password could be broken by the criminals. The next one here is Facebook data breach in 2019. If you read newspapers or news around, you must have also seen this. And after that, Facebook has lost the credibility. Many people, they make account on Facebook, they don't post many things there because the data everybody knows is not safe there. So in 2019, 540 million records were compromised. And again, no specific attacker has been attached to this. And again, the reason was unprotected passwords and encryption. I tell you one more thing, why these things sometimes happen. Just to maybe revenge or reduce the market of that person. I still remember, all of you remember the example of Zoom and Google Teams when we were in COVID times. The Zoom was gradually getting popular, and then what happened? We got the news through the social media that Zoom security has a lot of problems and we should not use Zoom. This is what has happened in India during COVID times. I remember this very well. And but because I used to use Zoom for many years, I said, no, this should not be like this. This should not be like this. And later on, it was realized that people still use Zoom. And it is gradually it has lots of extra features than we have in few others. Maybe I use Zoom, that is why I'm saying it so. But still, what I'm telling you is this Facebook breach, or maybe they want to give bad name to one particular software or an application. That is why also many of the cyber criminals, like this Facebook, this will be very useful to the other company who is a competent of Facebook. So that is why also these scams happen. So Facebook, again, the reason given here was the weak passwords. The passwords were unprotected and not encrypted, meaning anyone who searched the internet could find them. So this was it. So now we know the importance of secure passwords. Then next one here, which is given in the list of 20 major breaches, which you know is target data breach. Now what is this target? I hope all of you know, or if those who don't travel abroad a lot to US, they may not be knowing. What is Target? Target is a departmental store chain. So I told you about Facebook, social media, I told you about Marriott, I told you about financial company, I told you about Yahoo, and now we have reached to what? To the departmental store chain. So Target is a very big departmental store chain in America. Whenever I go to US, I purchase lots of things from Target because they are easily available, they are spread everywhere, and your grocery item and your day-to-day household items are very easily available there. So 60 million records were stolen from Target in 2013. The same data from a departmental store, what type of data you will have? Again, what we talked last time, like Amazon, why would Amazon like to track us, or why would Target like to track us is that they want to give us better customer service. So they used to store this data, but there was no proper security to this data, and it caused huge damage to Target group of companies. And why again it is a third party? vendor who could get entry into the target computer systems, and he stole all the password and security information. So we could take this example as, if you want to classify these examples, they are classified on the basis of what service they are doing, or maybe the type of fraud, type of computational or computer IT related hack used. So if you notice by now, Trojan virus, weak passwords, and these are the most common reasons which have led to these big cyber attacks, right? Another one, US Office personal data management data breach. US Office, governmental office, and there was a data breach. The 221.5 million data people, it got stolen, and there were two attacks, but it caused a lot of damage to the people because background check, interview findings, mental health records, financial history, and all that information was there, and it was stolen. And who were the attackers here? Was the Chinese government. So these type of attacks on the government things happen usually because of the other enemy country or other competitive corporate. These are the main reasons, because they are tracking you, and they are tracking you, and they are interested in your data, so that either you can you can buy their customers or reduce their customers or give them bad name, and that way. So what is MySpace data breach? It affected 360. Same way MySpace was, again, when I looked, because I didn't know what is MySpace before Yahoo, it was a very popular platform for searches, and gradually it has been taken over by Yahoo. But it was again in 2013. How it came to a downfall is because the data was breached, and it was done by a Russian tracker. So you know what is the Russia at that time was a big enemy of America. So it is the between the countries, and the data was attacked, and it was made public, right? And the next one here is LinkedIn data breach. LinkedIn is what? Everybody uses LinkedIn, and same way it was a Russian hacker who breached this data, and the victims in the US, they, especially those who paid for the premium service. So it was again a Russian hacker. It was the LinkedIn data. All of you know what is LinkedIn. Then Adobe Photoshop, Adobe PDF Reader, that's the most popular one. And Adobe was also hacked in 2013. I think 2012 and 13 was the worst time for this hacking. After these companies have taken a good rescue measure and a proper cybersecurity in their systems, and that is why the hacking after that is less. But I told you, just last week, in this month only, we reported a Indian Aadhaar card on dark web. So it's not stopped, but maybe for these big companies they have done, right? So I told you about till now I have told you about the departmental store chain. I told you the Yahoo, I told you the LinkedIn, then I told you the financial companies, I told you the hoodle chains. Now the term is of the next one. Next one is which one? What is this? SolarWinds. What is that? SolarWinds was a tech company. It's a support group for tech company, meaning it used to work for the tech companies. So it was a tech company which used to support 18,000 companies around the world, and they used to update their softwares. And they had a product that is called as Orion. So what happened in this Orion is that this Orion product was hacked, and they sent this information to all the companies, these 18,000 companies, through this Orion, because Orion was hacked. So all those companies' data got hacked. So this you could remember in the example as a what? As an example for tech company whose software was hacked. And again, because those who were updating, they had a trust on this company, they updated their software and they got hacked. And this was done by what? Trojan horse malware, right? So this is an example for Trojan horse, and it was a tech company which led to the hacking of the data by the other company, right? 18,000 companies I said here. Then that was all about the international. I think I covered all 10 which was written and which were recommended by the university. So at least you should know their names. If I ask you in the viva or anywhere else in the exam, you should know them, and you should know the gravity of loss it had happened, in which category it falls, and what was the software or technological tool used for this damage, right? For this damage. And you should also know how do we protect ourselves with these ones. Suppose in your MNC, if you are in an MNC, what would have they done? What would have Yahoo or maybe this Marriott would have done after that? Any guesses? Anybody wants to write that? Any guesses? What would have they done after that? Now you don't listen to any Yahoo breach or maybe Marriott breach. How? Any guesses? So maybe I wait for your guesses. In the same time I can go to the next thing. No guesses, so let's go further. Now the next thing which I want to do is the similar crimes which are there in the list of the syllabus in India. And because we have talked about them at length, about each type of corporate world, is maybe the financial company or the hotel chains or the departmental stores or tech company. So what I thought is, for India, I cannot, because I have my own limitations, I cannot take all of them in details. But still it's a good idea that I just tell them what has happened quickly. And with that one, we'll talk about the security measures. What security would they have these companies taken to make sure that there are no further attacks on them, right? So Air India data breach is in May 21. We had the CAT burglar strike. 1,90,000 applicants detail was on dark web. Similarly, I was just trying to Domino's Pizza web again, and then trading platform, police exam database with 5 lakh candidates. Their details were on sale in the dark web. Again, the COVID-19 test reports, all of you must have observed this news, is that was leaked in January 2021. And big basket data again was on sale. Unacademy again was sale. Hackers steal healthcare records were on sale. And the latest I told you just few days before, and in this month and everywhere, right? So that was about it. And right, so I told you several examples, several ways, and the gravity of the losses which have happened because of these data breach or data losses. So my question to you is that how do you say how the companies now are saving themselves from these hackers? Any guesses? Why this was so common in 2013 and 14, not now? Any guesses if you want to say anything? No? Maybe I like you to find out the answer, because I'll be interacting with you in any case during the viva. I like to interact. Because knowledge, bookish knowledge, I think, to interact, and when it gives you a platform to interact, I love to hear from all of you. Yes. Group 1 students, I don't know. There are arts 11. Good evening, ma'am. I see a lot of students from other groups are also joining. That is why, I thought let's take it online, because the other students can also join. After all, everybody is our students and they should also benefit from this. And there has been a lot of pressure of the syllabus also. That also made it easier. So what I'm asking you, what measures have been taken so that the news now at least is less? lack of secured passwords. Yes, this happened, Rupam. Certainly this happened because earlier now we are propagating what in the last class also, that we should use random password, a mixture of this, and not you use, wherever you log in they ask you to use a secure password, an extremely strong password. So that has happened. But what also has happened apart from this is that we have laws made for this now. Very recently also a law was passed, and these criminals now has stringent punishments. So people are scared also. And apart from this, these security measures have evolved. So these things are also happening side by side, which gradually will be solved. Meaning in 2013, I said the crime was discovered later on. Why? Because people were not thinking that this could happen. But now everybody is very well aware of, and as soon as a new app is developed, a security for that is also developed at the same time. So this is what I wanted to teach you for today. That was the second topic. One more of which I want to cover maybe next week, because I want to prepare it well before we come for the class, is that it should have some in-depth or a content in that, and that is about the Indian government rules and regulations which have come, so that how do we save ourselves. We should know what is in our purview, which is a crime where a attorney can help us, and we should hire, like the way I told you for that what do you call that as revenge pornography, that you have all rights with you. You should report it to the police. You should ask the website to take the content down, remove it from there, and thirdly, you should hire an attorney. You will get a proper compensation for that. So, well, when there are no more questions, no more comments, I would like to end it here. Thank you very much. Still, if you're not asking, I will be asking you in the exam. So, thank you again for now. And I end this stream now. And I'll be very happy to listen to any questions if you want to ask. Otherwise, I'll be asking that I'm telling you. Thank you very much.